It's been 2 weeks since George Floyd died and the protests began. So what's the latest in Minneapolis?
Yes, well, we had the first appearance, as you say, of Derek Chauvin here at this courthouse behind me. It was brief, it was 10 minutes in all, it has to be said, and Derek Chauvin himself appeared via video link. He's still being held at a state prison here. During that video link, we did see him. He was wearing an orange prison uniform. He was in handcuffs as well. And the judge, Janice Redding, setting a bail for $1.25 million without any conditions, or $1 million with conditions. Those conditions include the likes of not having any contact with the Floyd family, not leaving Minnesota without permission, not working in law enforcement, and also not to turn in his firearms as well. Now, prosecutors argued that the bail needed to be set high, given, amongst other things, the high publicity that surrounded this whole incident. Now, of course, as you say, 2 weeks since George Floyd was killed, and we saw, of course, those horrific images of Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes. 4 days after that, Chauvin was initially charged with third-degree murder. That was then changed last week to second-degree murder. But incidentally, the Floyd family lawyer, Ben Crump, it's emerged, has written a letter to the United Nations where he has appealed for them to intervene. He says that listing Floyd and other incidents of police brutality is arguing that's a human rights issue, and that all 4 police officers should be charged with first-degree murder. So interesting developments. There is the potential for that to happen. Further charges can still be made, but so far today we are seeing the first court appearance here of Derek Chauvin on that video link from here.
Right, and Dan, the Minneapolis City Council has voted to dismantle and rebuild the police department. What exactly would that mean in concrete terms?
Yeah, there's kind of 3 elements going on here. There's police reform, there's police defunding, and then there's police disbanding. And I'll try and run through all of those things, because the Minneapolis City Council are talking about all 3 of those things. So in the short term, it's about the focus on reforming, ensuring that these incidents that we saw with George Floyd doesn't happen again with the current Minneapolis Police Department. Then it goes to this element of defunding, and what that actually means, because it's potentially a poor choice of words, but what it actually means is that some of the money that currently is put towards the Minneapolis Police Department, that some of that is actually turned towards other issues, other social groups. And the example that the Minneapolis City Council use is mental health or domestic abuse, where African Americans, they argue, tend not to call the police for those kind of incidents because it can escalate further tensions. And they're saying that there could be other groups more skilled towards handling those situations that could come in and deal with that in a much better way. So that's where the kind of the defunding element comes in, and that's really a key focus amongst those council members. In terms of disbanding, well, that still is what they say should be the long-term goal, given what we've seen, given the distrust now in the Minneapolis Police Department. And they use the example of Camden, New Jersey. So in 2013, Camden, New Jersey had one of the worst crime rates, murder rates in the United States. They disbanded the police force, and within 2 years, with a new community police force that had then been created, bringing in new people, which was more reflective of the diversity within that region, and having better policing methods, or different policing methods rather, allowing the police to rather walk around, speak to the community, they found that the murder rate within 2 years dropped by 50%. And that's what these 9 out of 12 councillors say needs to happen here in Minneapolis. And of course, it is a debate now that is here across the United States.
Thank you very much, Dan.